Good morning, everybody. How are we doing today? We've just been having a serious chat and I've gone into like this morning mode. So, it's Thursday, Thoughtful Thursday. This is my new thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to have a little chat on a Thursday. So today I thought we'd talk, before I start doing the readings, the live readings, talk about boundaries. That's my little thing this week, boundaries. And I'll probably go off topic and start rambling on about something else, but I'm going to try and save that for next week, but we'll see if my boundaries work or not. So boundaries, there's a lot of people at the moment that are walking away from people, walking away from situations, things that they've just had enough of, or people they've just had enough of. And I think people are getting a bit more wise to their boundaries this year, and obviously there's a lot of planetary aspects that support that with the changes and the letting go. And I think where we had that 3 months off back in the summer, it made us all realise what's important and what's not important. So having boundaries in your life is super important so that you can live your best life, and also so that you don't get mugged over, really. If you don't have boundaries in place, whether this is relationships, whether this is work, whether this is just acquaintances there, and your own boundaries, then people really will walk all over you. They really will just take the piss, and you'll be drained much more than what you need to be drained on. How many times have you said you're going to do something on a certain time or spend a certain amount of time doing something only to get distracted by someone else, or for someone else just to rock up and them having their issues, and you want to be a friend to them, which is great, you want to support them, but how many times do they keep going on? How many times does it keep happening? And then before you know it, all the things that you want to be getting on with, you can't, because you're helping them, or you've lost your boundaries there. So many people blur the boundary lines, don't they? And I think boundaries are super important to lead a healthy life as well, mentally healthy as well. So you can work with your own cycle. If you've got that time of the month, girls, I don't have it anymore, I'm past that, but if you've got that time of the month and you know that you're just going to be a bit tired or a little bit ratty, then you might put your boundaries in place that you don't do as much, or that you don't see anybody if they're going to irritate you. You might find that working with the moon, when it's a full moon, you get a little bit bipolar, a little bit irate, so you're best to just take yourself off. So understanding what works for you, understanding how you tick. And we were talking about it yesterday in astrology. Having your astrology chart really, really can help you identify who you are and why you are the way you are, and why other people are the way they are. I've said it before, my ex-husband, when I looked at his chart many years ago, I realised why he was being a dick. It wasn't just because he was a dick, it was because there was parts of his chart. So some things you can't quite help, but it helps you understand. So when you understand yourself, you can then start to put your own boundaries in place. When you're working, it's super important. When I'm working, I have to obviously have deadlines with times with readings, and some clients, you get in the moment, they're not even conscious of the time, it goes quite quick, and they might want to talk about other things, or they might want to ask lots of more questions, but they know the time, they've booked a particular half an hour slot, and I've got another client afterwards, so my door's being knocked, and if I spend 5 more minutes with that person, then that next client is going to be 5 minutes late, and then they'll probably want an extra 5 minutes because they've got a little bit more questions. So then the next client is 10 minutes late, and then it just goes on and on and on. So before you know it, you're an hour behind, and it's not profited you in any way, but obviously it's helped the client, which is great, but it's blurred your boundaries. Now, if you're in a position where that doesn't matter, fine, crack on. But if you're finding that things are getting to you a little bit, and that you are getting exhausted from other people walking all over you, or stretching your limits a little bit too much, then sit back and have a little look at where your boundaries are. Likewise with other people, have a little reality check, a little self-check with yourself. Are you the one that is always late? Are you the one that is always stepping over the mark, or that pulls on somebody a little bit too much? Are you the one that, you know, you haven't got your boundaries for you, so therefore you pull your boundaries on other people? And no one's really going to want to admit that, are they? But I think we've all done it at least once in our lifetimes there, and we'll probably continue to do it. But it's about being mindful of boundaries there. So when you work professionally, it's super important. But even when you don't work and it's just with your friends there, then you've got to have these boundaries in place. Now, I'm going to merge this a little bit with something I was going to talk about next week, but I know I would. So your power is super important as well. I've shared, it's going to go on later today because I've scheduled it, a Native American post about your power and holding on to your power. Now, I was a right bugger years and years ago for literally giving away everything and telling people how to run their, you know, how to support people with their businesses, literally setting up their businesses for them and giving them all the ideas, giving them loads and loads of help at the cost of myself. But I didn't mind because they were mates, and that's what you do for friends. And other friends of mine were saying to me, work on yourself, don't worry about helping them all the time, work on yourself. And I was like, yeah, I'll do mine in a minute, And I would see lots of them flourish, and my stuff would always be put on the back burner. And then, you know, you get bit, don't you, a few times, and then you realise, I'm not going to do that so much, which is really uncomfortable when you are a giving person, and it's natural for you just to sit there and say to somebody, well, if you do this, you can really run your business, you can really sort your relationship out, you can really do all this. But then they go off and do that, and the problem I found was when I started to do it for myself, they got the ump. They didn't like it. They were so used to me giving all the time that when I started to put my own stuff first, they really did get the ump and, you know, fell out on it. So over the years, I've learned to have boundaries with how much I give, and it holds a little bit of power back as well, because your power is like, you know, Native American style, but your power is your medicine. Definitely, your power is your medicine. Gillian's just put, I'm guilty of giving away too much. Absolutely, Gillian. I mean, you've got so much knowledge with your feng shui, and it's so. But the thing is, when you like talking about what you do, and you want to be helping people all the time, it's so easy to just sit there and say da 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 da, and before you know it, they've gone off with everything that you've given, and you're left with not even a thank you half the time, or, you know, they don't even tag you on Facebook or wherever just to help you support you a little bit. They just go off riding with what you've given them. So putting boundaries in place with how much you give will also serve you well as your power. You'll be keeping a little bit of power to yourself. Now, sadly, because of the things that I've gone through, I do keep a little bit back to myself, and it's probably other people that wouldn't shaft me that I end up holding a little bit back from. But it is how it is, and I will still give, but I have learned to just, you know, not give every single thing and just hold a tiny little bit back, because that's my power. And I wouldn't even share that with anyone, actually, not even with my partner, not even with my best friend. There would still be things that I would keep back a little bit, because you don't need to share everything anyway, do you? But when you are I mean, I talk a lot, and I do out of my mouth, and I do lots of things come out of it, so it's really hard for me to keep a little bit back, but I have learned to, and you get a little bit more self-respect there as well. You do get a little bit more self-respect from doing that. And I'm not saying everybody shafts, you know. I've got Jem, who right here. So it's very equal balance. What I share with her, she also helps with me with things. So that's equal. But I think thinking about boundaries in all areas of your life, and also if you're helping somebody and they're not listening, and we've all done this. You know, you're banging your head against a brick wall, and you're using your energy. You're trying to support them, but they're just not listening. And I had this with a family member not so long ago. They're just not listening to what you're saying, or they're listening but they're not ready to do it, or they don't want to do it. They've either got in the victim mode, or you know, they could have mental health issues, so there could be lots of different things going on. I'm not going to judge them on that, but it's super frustrating for you to keep giving when they're not doing anything with that information. So then you have to come to a point where you go, do you know what, I'm not going to keep repeating myself, I'm not going to keep making myself feel drained. I'm going to be there for you, I'm still going to support you, still going to love you, but I'm going to stop and I'm going to put my boundaries in place, because it's draining, it's really draining. And I think at the moment where we're also worried about what's going to be happening with this, whether we're going to have a second phase of lockdown or what's going to happen worldly, I think to be worrying and wasting your time or dropping your boundaries and using your energy, getting your energy drained so much, it's just feeling extra sensitive at the moment. So have a look where people are taking the piss out of you, really. Have a look where that people are crossing the line, and think, you know, if the shoe was on the other foot, would they be so accommodating to you? Would they be so supportive for you? Probably not. Probably not. And when you are a giver, it is difficult to put them boundaries in place, but it really will serve you better. It really will serve you better. You'll have a bit more self-respect, you'll have more power, which will influence you in a lot of positive ways, and people will understand, okay, I'm not just going to be draining the shit out of her anymore, because she's not going to allow it anymore. And this could be absolutely any area around yourself, but also with yourself, like I said, putting boundaries on things. So timing, so if you've got a job where you need to be timings, making sure that you're strict with your times, that you're bound to those times. When I work in London, I don't know here, but when I work in London, they book a half an hour slot or an hour slot. Now if they're 5 minutes late, that's within that slot. We do not go over the time. So if they're booking a 7 till 7:30, for example, and they turn up at 7:10, they've lost 10 minutes of their reading. That they're not going to get that back. They've paid for that. Done. I'd like to be that strict here, but I'm not. But I would like to be that strict here. Sometimes when it's super busy, when it is busy, and I've had clients who have come 10 minutes late, I'll say to them, look, I can only do 20 minutes, or you can rebook. Because I've got another client after this. And they'll say, yeah, that's fine, 20 minutes is fine, but you know, you can guarantee 20 minutes goes, and then they'll be like, oh, but I just want to ask this. So in the end, you end up going over, and you've given them the half an hour anyway, and then your next client's like late. So, you know, putting boundaries in place is important in lots and lots of ways. But in your relationship, think about, is it equal? Have you got boundaries within it? Are you always the one that's doing all the washing up? Are you always the one that's doing the cooking, the cleaning? While your partner, you know, you both work, your partner goes to work, you go to work, but you come home, you're the one that does everything. They come home and chill out in the front room while you're still busy. Is that boundaries? Not really. This week I've started with the kids, because mine are like 11 and 14 now, so they're old enough. They've started to do every other day washing up. They've got their own washing up days now. They had a massive fit about it last night, Josh's turn last night, and a big grump, finished dinner 6ish, and he refused to wash up, even though it was his time. He said he's going to do it. He's so stubborn, I don't know where he gets it from. He said he'll do it in his own time if he's going to have to do it. So 9 o'clock, well actually I said I don't want to be waiting at 9 o'clock and that kitchen is still messy. 5 to 9, he's come down and done it all. And it was really nice. They've also got to cook one meal a week each. So I'm teaching them life skills now. One meal a week each, and every other night washing up, because they're old enough now. They literally come home from school. Obviously they've got their homework, but they're just on their computers or they're in their bedrooms, and they're going out with their mates, which I want them to go out with their mates, to be honest. But I come home from working full time and I've got to juggle all of it, and they're not babies now. So I've put some boundaries in place at home. And it was lovely. It was lovely to be able to go in the kitchen and it all be spick and span. I didn't have to lift a finger. Tonight we've got the other one doing it, so we will see how that goes. And then tomorrow we've got cooking lessons, so they should be cooking. And then first of all, Josh was like, I'm not going to be cooking. I don't like cooking. I can't cook. I said, I'm going to show you. That's the whole point of this, lifestyle skills. And then Ollie said, well, we're just going to, whenever I do it, we're going to have spaghetti bolognese. And Josh was like, no, we're not. But actually, cooking a roast dinner is easier than a spaghetti bolognese, I think. So anyway, I'm putting little boundaries at home. So that's what I just thought I'd share with you today, to have a little think about where people are crossing the line with you, and where we are walking away from a lot of people, a lot of situations that no longer serve us, and we're realising this year what's important and what's not. Have a look in your own lives, have a look where you put boundaries in place. And Gillian put that, excellent, well done. The boys will thank you when they are older. They absolutely will, absolutely will. Have a look where you don't always need to sort of fall out with somebody, but just by putting your boundaries in place, you can reserve your energy for the more important things, the things that are going to be important for you there. All right, so that's your little boundary talk. Anyone else have boundary problems? Troubles and problems, I was going to say at the same time then. Anyone else have boundary problems? Jem, do you have boundary problems?
I do.
You do?
I do. I give.
You give.
And then feel really bad when I don't give.
See, I think, let's bring you on in.
Hi.
I think that you're quite strict with things.
Do you think?
Yeah, I do. I think you're quite gentle, and then there's a bit where you go, nah, I'm not having it.
I think I do. I suppose maybe I've sort of learned from the past. I do kind of learn, and sorry, gotta go. Have learned, but I do. I'm not like nasty strict. I'm like
Soft strict.
I think we might have overstepped the line here.
Yeah, soft strict. Okay, right, let's go on with some cards. In my keys, here's my keys.
It's okay, I've got them.
Let's have a little look. Here is the card of the day. It is the Nine of Pentacles. Now, actually, funny enough, the Nine of Pentacles is about building up your resources, building up your finances, and keeping a little bit back. It's not letting somebody, it's saying that you've done all the hard work, that you've put all the energy into something, and you don't want to let somebody take all of that. So it's about being mindful, resourceful, and we're just, literally boundaries. This is around financial boundaries there. So have a look again. It's about what you put into something. If you're working all the time and you're slogging it out, and then you've got someone that's just bumming off you, that's what this card is saying, be aware of. It's a slow progress card. There. It's a slow progress card. It indicates good financial rewards. It indicates success. It indicates a very independent as well. It's a great independent card, and it says your hard work will pay off for you. So you will get to fruition, but it will be done on a slow progress there. So just keep going with whatever it is that you're doing. But remember that you're the one working hard, and that everybody else has got to do their little bit as well. So that's your little card of the day. Let's have a little looky there. She will come out and serve. At 10:30, is it? I think it's 10:30.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay, let's have a little look. Thank you, Andrea. Been pink today. Okay. We've got lots of good mornings there. Oh, I'm going to go right back. Good morning, Brenda. Morning, Anne. Morning, Christine. Morning, Maya. Or evening, Maya. Morning, Carly, Caroline, Emma. Thank you for sharing, Maya. Gillian, of course, good morning. Kaylee, good morning. Dominic, good morning. Polly, Anna, Emma. Lisa, good morning. Diane. Annette, good morning. Two Dianes. Lorna, Leanne, Andrea. Tara, good morning. Pauline. Tina, good morning. Well, lots and lots and lots of you. Okay, so who was it that first I saw there? Lena, thank you for sharing. Here is your little card for the day. You have the Seven of Pentacles. Now, the Seven of Pentacles is about moving on. You know these cards. This is about waiting for something bigger and better to come up. So, Lena, it's indicating that there is change on its way, but not yet. You've got to wait for something. And waiting for things can be a bit boring, so you might be feeling a bit disheartened, you might be feeling a bit discontented, you might be feeling a bit fed up while you're waiting. But just trust the process, and when the timing is right, there is something better coming on its way for you. At the minute, it's saying you can't do a lot. You can't do what you want to do, you can't expand with what you want to do, you can't move in the areas that you want to do because you're waiting. Because you're waiting for something to come to get better. So just trust, I don't know if you're moving, but just trust this process, because there's something bigger and better coming on, and you'll be pleased with it. All right? Now, I'm not going to do lots and lots and lots because I just realised the time and we are open. So I should be back to, actually I'm doing another live tonight, 7 o'clock live on my page. Did one last night and I'm going to do another one tonight, 7 o'clock live on my page. So keep your notifications on and see about that. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow morning, 9:30. Take care, bye.